Hi, I'm Tom, and you are tuned in to Hit the North, a podcast where I talk to a range of special guests, sharing their thoughts and feelings about the North, defined inclusively.
1, 2, 3, 4. And a pillow for my head. I got a pencil full of lead and some water for my throat. I got buttons for my coat and sails on my boat. So much more than I needed before.
Today I welcome Rachel Jackson to the Hit the North podcast. She's a multi-talented writer, actor, stand-up comedian, sketch comedy performer. She came to prominence with an odd, intense BBC Three series of somewhat unhinged comic monologues, Bunny Boiler, in 2017, based on a previous Edinburgh Fringe show. She's been a prolific screen actor, from horror films to sitcoms to edgy social realism. She's enrolled in the Groundlings comedy course in LA, and she's recently been navigating really tough mental health issues. She plays excited and bored, intense and relaxed, weird, loud, and very occasionally quiet, as well as cool, uncool, normative, and eccentric. Rachel is our first guest from Scotland. It's vital we hear Scottish, Welsh, Midlands and other voices on this show. She is a refreshing performer and writer who deserves to figure large in the future in, I hope, all sorts of original projects.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, thanks for agreeing to talk, Rachel.
Of course, thanks for having me.
It was prompted really by seeing Beats a few years ago, and I actually saw the theatre version of The Fringe.
Oh, cool.
Kieran Hurley's play. Got back in, I don't know, 2015 maybe, or 20.
Wow, so you're like an original Beats fan.
Yeah, it's like 11 p.m. or something start. It was much later than I could probably manage now. But, yeah. It was a good show, yeah, and delighted to see that they were making a film with it.
Oh, that's cool.
I've obviously checked out your work a lot more preparing for this, and that's really, really good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
I am wanting people who aren't from the north of England as well for this, to get other perspectives. So it's great to have a Scot on.
Good. I'm glad to fill the void.
So, yeah, you grew up in Baberton.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah, that's right. Baberton.
A suburb of Edinburgh. So what's that like as a place?
Well, it's funny because it's pronounced Baberton, but it's actually spelt like Baberton. So I like to say that I'm a babe from Baberton. But it's actually a nice place to live. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like, it was a very safe neighbourhood and fun to play with. There was always kids out on the street, and yeah, it was good.
Do you think like Livingston is similar to it? Because Livingston, I think, is the setting for Beats.
Yeah, I think it probably is actually. Because when I watched Beats, I was kind of like, that looks a bit like Baberton. So I think everyone can relate to it. Everyone has somewhere like that near where they live. So I think that's what made Beats so relatable.
And like, where have you lived in your life?
Oh my God, how long have you got, Tom?
A lot of places.
I'll keep you here all day. I've lived in Edinburgh. I've lived in Ayrshire. I've lived in Berwick-upon-Tweed. I've lived in Hartlepool. I've lived in London. I've lived in Sidcup, and I've lived in Tennessee.
And then which city do you prefer out of Edinburgh or Glasgow? So I'm assuming Glasgow, that's going to be more like doing stand-up performances.
Yeah, to be honest, I love Edinburgh and Glasgow. Glasgow's always, because I'm living in Edinburgh at the moment, so Glasgow's always kind of exciting. Like, I'm going to Glasgow tonight, for example, and I always get excited when I go to Glasgow. Like, even though I'm just doing like a social thing tonight, I'm not working tonight. But I always get excited when I go to Glasgow because there is like a vibe. I think everyone can feel the vibe in Glasgow. And it's just great. It's just, there's something in the air in Glasgow. But I love Edinburgh as well. I love Edinburgh and Glasgow. I'm not one of those annoying people that like pick one. I like them both. I think they're both great, great cities.
you think there's any truth at all in Billy Connolly's 1976 claim that there's more life in a Glasgow funeral than Edinburgh wedding?
I think that's a great joke, to be fair. So I don't know if there's so much truth in it, but it's a very funny joke. I'll give him that. I'll give Billy that. Because I think Edinburgh's got a lot of life to it. I mean, look at the Edinburgh Fringe, for goodness sake. And, you know, all the Glaswegian comics and all that who slag off Edinburgh, yet they go to Edinburgh Fringe every year. So you're like, it can't be that bad, can it?
I would assume that Irving Welsh's work has dispelled lots of myths about Edinburgh as well.
100%, yeah. Oh, I love Irving Welsh. He actually retweeted me once a couple of years ago on Twitter. I was so buzzing because I was down in, I think I was in Birmingham because I've done stand-up all over the UK at this point, and I went past a shop. It was something that's like Spud would have said. Oh, that's it. Because you know how he said he's got a pleasure and leisure. Like that's, you know, that job interview where he's like, I get the pleasure out of the leisure. And it was a shop called like Fashion Passion or something like that. And so I was like, oh my God, Spud's owned a shop. Spud's got a shop. So I put a picture of it on Twitter and Irving Welsh retweeted it. And I was just like, my mind was blown.
Yeah, that's great.
So that was cool.
Can you briefly tell the story of your working with Darren Brown, playing his TV show in 2011?
So I was living in London at the time of the audition, and I didn't know what the audition was for. I just knew it was something to do with Channel 4 because they were being very secretive about what it was for. And then I went to New York with my friend Karen Gillen, and we were just in New York, like having a bell of a time. And I kept going on about this audition that I had. And she chummed me down to get the bus back to the airport. And the last thing I said when I turned around to her was, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this part. And I just had a feeling like that whatever it was going to be for me. And so then I walked into the audition room the next morning, completely jet lagged from being on a plane from New York all night. And one of the trippiest moments of my life was when I was sitting there downing energy drinks. And then Darren Brown just walked out the room. And he'd memorized all of our names because, you know, he's like a mind master. And he was like, hi, Rachel. Hi, Tom. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Gabriel, whatever. And it was like, he just shook my hand. Hi, Rachel. And I was just like, oh my God, it's Darren Brown. So that was really trippy. But it was really good fun, actually. It was a really good fun shoot. I was playing like the Scottish maid. That was kind of my character's name. And it was a lot of improv, which I love. So it was a heavy improv job. The guy who we were playing the trick on, he was so sweet. And like looking back, I'm like, was it cruel? Because we had to make this guy believe that he'd killed someone.
Mm.
I feel bad when I kill a snail. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm like, I move the snails every night. If it's been raining, I move them so that no one stands on them as they're walking past. And this poor guy genuinely believed that he'd killed a man. And at one point they made me go up to his room and like take things out of his bag and like replace them with other things to make him think that he'd packed different clothes than what he'd packed. Because I think his like girlfriend and everyone was in on it. So, and he was such a sweet guy, but at the time it didn't really feel bad. And I think Darren Brown is such a master of his craft that he knew exactly what he was doing. And he'd picked a guy who, let's be honest, had auditioned to be on Darren Brown. Yeah. And had said that even if, you know how like in Darren Brown quite often they get rejected, like, oh, we don't want to work with you, but then 6 months later they'll actually hack into their life and like do something like this to them. So you have to kind of say that this guy wanted to be part of a Darren Brown experience. That would be my only kind of saving grace of it all, I think. But there was one bit where the guy was actually flirting with me. Like the guy that we were playing the joke on with. And I hadn't really thought of a backstory. Like I'm meant to be this like method actor. I think I'm like Marlon Brando. But then when it came to it, he was like, so why are you working here? Because we were in the middle of nowhere in this like manor somewhere in England. And I had to come up with a backstory about, oh, I've just been traveling in India and I'm skint. So I'm like back on getting work again. And then Darren like quickly brought other people in to distract him. And Darren Brown came over to me and was like, I think he was flirting with you there. So that was pretty funny.
So your stand-up, from like what I've seen of it in lots of TV, it's really sort of candid, relatably everyday and eccentric as well. There's like horrible megabus journeys, not being able to afford toilet roll, and the medieval class system used in sexual role play. Where is the line between your real self and performance in your comedy?
That's a good question. I think the line is very, very small because I think I am those things. I am everyday relatable, but I am quite an eccentric person, I would say. Obviously, your stage persona maybe is a little bit amplified, but I think it is basically me, I have to say. Yeah. I know. So I don't know, good or bad, it is me.
So I was like, Henry, have you ever tried, role play? So I started, and I was saying things like, I'm sorry I stole the apple from the Kingdom King. Please don't sentence us to death. My family were starving, and we had to do something. We had no choice. And I don't know why I'm American King, but it just feels so right. And you gotta be honest, King, the class system is so fucked up in these medieval times. If we hadn't taken it, we all would have died of starvation anyway, King. Please, take me.
Marry them together under a love tree so we can't let go. Baby, feel my flow. It's all about monogamy, not greedy like Monopoly. Cha-cha-cha, bruh. Stop cashing in on the romance game. Wanna get to the point where I change my name for you. It's gotta do. Baby, that's what I'll say. I do.
You've had some excellent acting roles, sometimes small, but making like a big impression, like the very surly waitress in Two Doors Down and the Scottish sitcom. How did you make her so resentful?
Well, I played her. My kind of character note to myself was, this is her last day on the job. So I wanted to make it like she's getting fired today. She has had enough. So that's how I played it, because I just wanted it to be hilarious. And as soon as I read, like for the audition, as soon as I read it, I think that's how I got the part, because I think a lot of other actresses who went up for it played it a lot more like engaging and kind of friendly, because the script didn't say she was that moody. It didn't say that she was that horrible. It didn't really give that many clues, but I just thought, what's the funniest thing I can do with this? And I think the funniest thing is making her that she couldn't give less of a fuck. So that's how I played her.
Yes.
Do you have any tartar sauce?
Yeah. Anything else?
Tomato sauce, please.
Okay, anything else?
Vinegar, please.
Anything else?
Is it sashes?
Aye.
Jaded, to sort of say.
Yeah, jaded. Definitely jaded. It's just like so over it, just not enjoying her job at all. Especially with that line when the woman's like, oh, can I just get a plate? And I'm like, you just want a plate on its own. And I'm just so like, like my life, just there's no life in me at all. Like if you look in my eyes when I'm saying that, there's no life there at all.
So when appearing on Spud Murphy's podcast in 2017, you talked about how actors shouldn't be cowed by any fear of being blacklisted for speaking out, as they get work with many people who do favour rebellious mavericks. And how would you describe your own political views? And is there one issue you care about most currently?
I think I was a lot mouthier back then. It's funny that, because when you've dug that up, I kind of couldn't even remember doing that podcast because I was so early on in my comedy days then. And I think I was filming Beats and The Party's Just Beginning at that time. So I was kind of like doing all these films and I'd done all this TV. I'm not saying I was too big for my boots or anything like that, but like I was a lot younger and a lot mouthier. And I just think I'm a lot more reserved now. I'm still honest and I still believe that people should be honest. I think I still agree with that you shouldn't have fear to speak out. I think you should be able to be truthful wherever you go in life. But I also think I have calmed down a bit and I'm a lot more chilled and a lot more reserved now. There's one issue I am really passionate about. It is like animal rights. And even just the idea of like when I hear about dogs getting treated badly and stuff, I can't sleep at night. So that is something I would definitely like to do more of in my life and also I try to live my life pescatarian, just eating fish and no meat or no chicken or anything. But I do it kind of 80% of the time, and then 20% of the time I still have a bit of meat. But I do try to live the pescatarian life, because I heard a story that made me so upset, and it was a story of a cow that escaped from like a slaughterhouse, and it managed to get quite far, and I just thought that cow knew what was coming and tried to get out, and it just made me so sad, and I just thought I can't eat meat anymore. And everyone, we all sit and eat our burgers, and we sit and eat our steak and all that, and we don't really think about what had to happen for it to end up on the plate.
Yeah, it's difficult to like justify it when there was a film called Cow.
Right.
Andrea Arnold.
Oh, I've not seen it, but I know her.
Yeah, the BBC had it on a couple of years ago on TV, like in a late night slot. But that was quite very moving, sort of showing life just from a shed full of cows' perspective, sort of how rare it is for them to get outside, and that's sort of quite blissful. The sort of moments when they actually allow to graze. Yeah,
I could watch that then. But is it like is it an uplifting film, or is it really depressing?
it's got uplifting moments, but I wouldn't say it's particularly upbeat, really.
Okay.
But it's very...
Maybe I should check it out.
Very original.
I'll definitely check that out, because I love Andrea Arnold and I love cows. So I don't know how I've not heard of that.
So in the feature film Beats, you play Wendy, who's Spanner's cousin, who like basically enables the whole adventure to this utopian rave. Although obviously it's disrupted by the police and everything. But how did you go about creating Wendy's distinctive characterization?
Thank you. That's such a kind thing to say as well, because I'm really proud of my performance as Wendy. And I think it's probably still to this day my favourite thing I've ever done is Beats. And just because it was so original, and so it was like, had Ken Loach's production company behind it, and when Brian Welsh, who was a director, he wanted the most naturalistic, kind of hard-hitting performances that we could give. And he actually, we had a joke on set that he reminded me of Stanley Kubrick, because there was a rumour that Stanley Kubrick would make actors take like 180 times until he was happy with them. And that's what Brian Welsh was like on Beats. And I'm sorry if you're listening, Brian, but he was like a slave driver. Honestly, there was one day where I swear to God, it was like, take 87, take 88. And we were all just like looking at each other like, is this guy for real? But then if you watch the film, it's so brilliant that he was obviously onto something. So I think he battered the naturalism into us. David Fincher does that a lot as well. I've heard that David Fincher does so many takes that you don't even feel like you're acting anymore, because you're just saying the lines and you're just being a person and you're not being an actor. And I think Brian Welsh was so good at that.
Sit the fuck down.
Don't you fucking dare sit down, Laura. Listen, Les, you and your fucking 5-year business plan can do what you want.
What's it got to do with you like a fat whore?
What are you going to do, you cunt?
I did want to make Wendy... Well, there was clues in the script that she was a lesbian. There was like a joke, but it got cut out of the film about her like eating Fanny or something. And I actually took it seriously. I didn't take it as a joke. I thought, well, maybe she is gay then. So I kind of played her with that in mind. But I also just wanted to make her really cool and really kind of different to me, because I wouldn't say I'm cool. I'm not a cool person. Like what I was saying earlier, I'm eccentric. I'm a bit mad. I can be manic. I'm like the opposite of Wendy. Wendy's cool as a cucumber. And so I wanted to make her like that. I wanted to make her so different to me. And even like the way my hair is in the film, it's totally different to how it is like normally. I'm just like a totally different person in that film. And that's what I love about it. So I appreciate what you're saying, and that makes me feel so happy that it's like recognised that performance is really good.
Yeah, it's a great scene where you're standing up to that horrible character. I don't remember what his name is, Les or something.
Yeah, is it Les?
Yeah.
I've forgotten as well.
I hope you didn't have to do that 90 times.
We did.
Violence in that, isn't there?
We did, and it was a horrible day. That was actually my last day on set, and me and the guy who played Les, who's a guy called Kevin Maines, very, very good actor.
Yeah.
And we had to like batter each other, but obviously it wasn't real. It was fake slaps and fake hits and stuff. but doing that kind of level of violence, even if it's pretend violence, over and over again, really does have an effect on you. And because it was our last night, the other actors were saying, "Hey, do you want to come out for drinks afterwards to, celebrate?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll come. Even though I'm shattered, I'll still come." And then I looked over to Kevin and I said to Kevin, "Do you want to come?" And he was like, "No, I'm okay, thanks." And he was just really shut down because he had to be the most horrible guy in that film. And imagine playing that all day and having people in your face screaming and shouting you and calling you a pedo and a cunt and all these awful words. And it just had obviously drained him to the point that he didn't even want to come out with us. And I'll never forget that. That was such a kind of moment of like, wow, this job really does take out of you. It's not just like people think, oh, you're off to work to play, and it's just all like it's all good fun. Some of it can be really hard hitting and intense.
And what are your memories of doing the actual rave scenes? Yeah, did they use the same music that ended up being in the film, for example, or was that all sort of dubbed on later?
I think it was dubbed on later because there was all sorts of music that night, and it's an amazing night. We filmed the rave over like 2 days. The night was when we had all the extras in, and we basically just had a party and filmed it. And the director even said, if you want to have a drink, have a drink. Just like do whatever you need to do to get into the spirit.
Yeah.
That way, because he was just like, I want it to be as real as possible. So if you want to go have a few vodkas, like do it. Like I'm not looking, kind of thing. And then on the Monday, so a few days later, we filmed the rave again, but this time it was without all the extras, and it was just kind of like getting the more of like just like the actual dialogue within the rave filmed. But what a night that was! The night that we filmed the rave, it was amazing. Like just dancing all night and getting paid for it, getting paid to just have a boogie. And because my character didn't have a lot of dialogue at the rave, my character was just loving life. That's what Brian Welsh told me. He was like, Wendy, like they're all desperate to get to the rave for their own reasons, and Wendy is desperate to get to this rave. So I wanted to play that by the time she's there, she's just like lets her hair down and is just into it, like completely.
She like shouts at some quite incoherent words.
I feel like you've watched this film in serious detail. You know beats.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent film.
Thank you. That means a lot. Yeah, I shout incoherent words where I'm basically like, "Oh, he's having a good time, eh? Do you know what I mean, eh?" Like,
Lorne MacDonald, who plays Spanner, I mean, he's an actor who does sort of lovable and ragged really well. He's excellent, say, in Dinosaur. Ashley Story, I think, is doing the second series of that at the moment. Have you seen that, and what do you think of it?
So this is the question that I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to be honest. I've not watched it, and the reason I've not watched it is because I auditioned for it to play Ashley's sister and didn't get it. And I was beaten by, I think it's an English actress who got the part to play a Scottish girl. And that just kind of hurt my soul. Because it's fair enough getting beat for roles. Like you go up for so many auditions and you're going to get some and you're going to not get a lot. And that's fine. But to get beaten by an English girl was extra sore. But I love Ashley. I love Ashley's story, and I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it is great. I've not watched it, and I'll have to get round to it at some point because I can't be bitter forever. I'll have to give it a try. And Lorne's fantastic as well. I love playing his cousin in Beats. He's a great actor, so he deserves to be working as well. So I'm sure it's good. But then me saying that, I've been thinking about this as well. And you know how I'm saying like, oh, how dare an English girl beat me, and how dare she kind of play a Scottish girl? But then that opens up such a can of worms because it's like I've played English girls in films.
Yeah.
And I should be allowed to do that. And it's like I feel like I should be allowed to play a non-binary character. I should be allowed to play a trans character. Like you should be allowed to play anything because it's acting.
it's quite difficult if you've been 100% essentialist about casting, I think.
Yeah. So that's what I mean.
Whole craft of acting, aren't you, really? And
Well, exactly. So that's why I mean, like, part of me is like angry about the fact that they gave it to an English girl when there's so many talented Scottish actresses who could have played the role perfectly well. But then the other half of me thinks, well, why shouldn't she be allowed to play a Scottish girl? She's an actress, for goodness sake.
And I'll mention the party's just beginning as well, as I managed to watch that a couple of weeks ago, which I thought was really good film as well.
Thank you.
So you play such a different character to Wendy in that, because she's sort of very home proud and aspirational.
Think about it. Why are we settling for such blatant banality? I can offer you a life more magic than any mushroom ever picked. Better than every puppet guy gets filled and Inverness all at once. So come on, huh? Who's with me?
Ah, you gobshite.
So she was like, all right, okay. So she looked at the catalogue and picked out a table, a nice table. And she was going to pay for it, but then I looked at the catalogue and the price was just for the table. You had to pay for the chair separately. So after that, we were looking at £400. When we thought it was just 150. And the floor was 300. It's nice, isn't it? It's really modern. Ryan didn't want it, but then Kelly across the road got it, and then suddenly he wanted it.
So that very good down-to-earth scene at the end where, they're going to go out for a drink and everything, and with Karen Gillen's character. And you're sort of the most sensible one, really, within that story. And also it's a very good, dry comic performance, I think, that one. So do you have any memories of that film particularly?
Yes, I do. Again, that was an amazing job to do because Karen Gillen is such a good friend of mine, and I didn't even have to audition for that. She had written the film with me in mind. So that was really nice because obviously some big actors auditioned for that film to play like her love interest and to play like her mum and dad and all the different parts in it. But I didn't have to audition. I was just given the role. And that's something that's never happened to me before or since. I've had to audition and fight tooth and claw for every role I've ever had. And Karen is such a good director. And that was her first time directing as well. But she's a very easygoing person. And she's very easy to get on with. And she's very, very funny and very chill. So, but she had a lot on her plate when she was doing that film. She was directing it, she'd written it, she was the main character in it. She was basically doing everything.
She's in pretty much every scene, I think.
She's pretty much in every scene in the goddamn film, and she's dealing with the DOP and all this stuff, and she still barely broke a sweat. I mean, I know she was stressed, don't get me wrong, she was stressed out, but you wouldn't, like, the naked eye wouldn't see that. Like, she didn't seem stressed. So I just remember it being like a really pleasant experience and getting to smoke because I'm like a social smoker and I love in films when I get to smoke because it's just like, oh, it's just such a nice release. And we got to
have the window the window slightly open.
The window slightly open and we just got to smoke and smoke and smoke. And so I loved doing that scene. And it was like, another cigarette, please. But I had a real good time doing that. And I'm so happy with my performance in that film because she's probably more similar to me than Wendy. But again, pretty different to me at the same time because I don't care about things like couches and carpets and curtains and catalogues and all that. And I'm also really proud of my accent in that film because I had to do a Inverness accent.
Yeah.
And I learned that it's the A sound, so it's like instead of catalogue, it's catalogue, like catalogue. And it was just words like that I had to kind of like change.
Yeah, the locations are really well used in it. I think it really feels like I'm assuming quite a rare film in Inverness. Why has it been a city?
Yeah, definitely. It's a pretty hard-hitting film as well. I mean, I watched it a few times, like during the press tour, and it's not a fun watch.
No, it's gritty. Yeah.
It's gritty, it's hard. And, the suicide themes, because I had a friend who went to see it, for example, and she was meant to go and see it with her boyfriend at the time, but her boyfriend was ill, so he couldn't go to the premiere. And then she texted me afterwards going, I'm so glad that he didn't come because his friend killed himself. And if he had seen that, he would have been an absolute mess. So it's kind of like, it didn't really come with like a warning on it of this is really really an intense film about suicide.
I think, yeah, you do add some comedy to it, really, and in a very understated, quite quiet performance, really, like compared with
Thank
the
you.
ones done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, completely. And again, like my personality, because I'm such a big personality in real life, I love playing these characters that are much quieter or much more relaxed or much more deadpan, but something that I will always bring is the humor. Whether that's in something like Two Doors Down or whether that's in The Party's Just Beginning. They're both equally funny performances, but my God, could they be more different in terms of genre? You know?
Indeed.
Mm.
And you also gave a very fiery, loud performance in some rather racy scenes in the tribute short film The Mad Shagger 2020. What do you recall of that? Does it matter that it's difficult to follow in linear sort of plot terms?
I could not for the life of you tell you right now what that was about. So I'd have to go and watch it again. But the only thing I really remember about it is filming, like you say, the racy scene where I actually do a sex scene. And it was the first and only time I've ever done a sex scene in my life. And it made me really like hesitant to want to do it again because the guy, and I don't mean to bitch about this guy, but I felt like he crossed boundaries a bit because he kept grabbing my hips and we had rehearsed it in a way that we weren't really touching. And then on the day, he kept grabbing my hips. And I'm not saying he was a sleazebag, I don't think he was. But I just think he was getting caught up in the scene and thought, oh, yeah, I'll just grab her here and that'll be like sexy. And it's like, no, I don't want you to grab me. That's not how we rehearsed it. So that really bothered me actually. And it kind of took me out of the scene because he was just really frustrating me. And we didn't have an intimacy coach because you know how nowadays, I think it's since COVID, every film that has a sex scene has an intimacy coach, but we didn't have one of those. So obviously, if there had been one, I could have brought her over or brought him over and said, "Listen, he's kind of touching me on my hips, and we have agreed not to do that. Is there a way that you can just give him a quiet word and make sure he doesn't do it in the next take?" And it would have been dealt with a lot better, but it wasn't dealt with, and it just made me so uncomfortable. So that's basically all I remember about the Mad Shagger. Was not enjoying my mad shag.
So in that film, you're very much using a broad Scottish accent, but then you do a very good, I think, RP English accent as Charlotte. In the horror film, I saw Black Clouds more recently. I think that was out last year.
Was it last year?
Yeah. How do you feel about playing poshos?
That could have gone better. Go on, say it. What, that sometimes it's better to let me do the talking?
Do you think he was a bit of a creep? The way he was looking at us?
Yeah, you managed to get a lonely guy to chuck 2 women out of his house. Quite an achievement.
I love playing a posho. I love it because I am very good at the accent, and it's an accent that I've always been good at. So I enjoy being able to, I suppose, get paid and get to be a posho, which was really good fun. And what was funny about I Saw Black Clouds is the other girl in it, the other blonde girl, Nicole O'Neill, she's also Scottish. So we were both Scottish girls playing poshos. So that was quite surreal, actually. But I really enjoyed filming that. That's, in terms of all the different projects I've done, that's another one that I really, really enjoyed because we were filming down in Shropshire, which is quite a spooky place anyway, and filming in all these kind of spooky locations. And the director of that was a really nice guy. He was very chilled out. And again, he just kind of let us do what we wanted to do. There was no like, oh, it has to be this way or, my way or the highway kind of thing. He was very collaborative and I just got to do what I wanted basically.
Did you do any ad-libbing in it at all, or did you have to stick 100% to the script?
I think it was mostly we stuck to the script on that film. I don't think I did much ad-libbing. But again, that was filmed. You're saying it only came out like last year or so, but that was filmed in like 2019.
Right, yeah.
So it's taken a long time for it to like come out. But it was a really good experience. But I've still not watched the film. I've not seen it.
I think I like the music's really good in it. I think it's very moody, but subtle, sort of moody.
Right, okay.
I'll
take your word.
Design and the music's really, really good, I think, in it.
I'll have to watch it sometime.
And were you also involved in the game version of it?
Yes, we kind of filmed it like a film, if that makes sense. But then we had to do different endings and different takes, and basically like now we're going to do, separate lines, and it's going to be a different scene, and this is going to happen instead of this. And we had to do like different options basically. And so from what my understanding was in the game, that's how it played. Kind of like one of those old R.L. Stein books where it's like either go to page 49 or go to page 111, and then your fate will be decided from that. And I think that's how the game worked.
Mm.
But it was an interesting project to do for sure. I enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it. And it just gave me the buzz to do, because I did another film back in 2018 called Demon.
I
And
don't know about that one.
no, you don't know that one, because I feel like you know all my films, but you don't know Demon. Demon was 2018 we filmed that, so I think it came out maybe 2019 or 2020. And in that I played a Paolo as well, and I played like an evil pregnant woman, and I had like a big kind of pregnancy bump and stuff. And so that it's kind of gave me the rush to play Poshos. And then been climbing up I don't know if you've heard of the Groundling School in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I listened to a podcast. Was it with Craig Parkinson? I think you were talking about that.
that's right. So basically, when I spoke to Craig, I think I was at level 2 of the program. So basically, with Groundlings, there's 5 levels. There's basic improv, there's intermediate improv, there's advanced improv, then there's writing lab, and then there's advanced writing lab. And you have to pass each level. And if you don't, you're kicked out of the school. It's very competitive, it's very fierce. And I have seen so many people come and go, like people that have not made the cut, which is unfortunate because I've met a lot of talented people through Groundlings, but a lot of them haven't made the cut. And it's just because of Groundlings' preferences. It's nothing to do with their talent. But Groundlings are very, very strict on what they want. And so I've been working my way up the program for the last few years because it's taken a long time because of COVID and everything. But I'm now through to level 5. So I'm through to thank you. I'm through to the final level of the school, which I'm so excited about. And I'm going to hopefully go back in October and do a 3-month course with them. But last year I went over to do level 4, and we all had to create a comedy character from scratch. And I thought, well, I'm bringing out my Posho again. So I created a character, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever done. I'll have to send you it, and you can watch it because it's on YouTube. And it's a character called Camilla, and she's obsessed with the Queen. And she's like a real like posho who loves the royal family, but she hates Meghan Markle and she hates Princess Diana, and she loves Prince Andrew and she thinks Prince Andrew's innocent. And she's just like this awful, awful woman.
Don't get me wrong, King Charles was doing a decent job, but she was the best. She was the only sane woman in the royal family. There's been some absolute outrageous women come and go over the years. Like that tramp, Meghan Markle. I'll give her this. You know, she's very clever. She'll divorce Harry, which she will, and she'll get back into acting, and she'll be the most desired actress in the whole world. Very clever. And don't get me started on that bitch Diana.
It's kind of like my worst nightmare, and that's why I wrote her, because that is my worst nightmare. Like, there's a line in it where I actually say, you know, just because he hung around with Jeffrey Epstein, it doesn't make him guilty by association. I'm friends with you, Claire. Does that make me a fat slut? And it's just like this horrible, well, obviously in a posh accent, this horrible, horrible woman. And I just thought I've got to bring out my posho for Groundlings because they've got to see that I can do a really good posh English accent. So that's why I did that character.
And as a big fan of horror films, which would you nominate as your favourite British horror film of all?
One of them has got to be 28 Days Later. What made me think of it was I went to see the new one a few weeks ago, 28 Years Later. And 28 Years Later, it was a good film. It was a solid film, but it wasn't brilliant. And it wasn't terrifying in the way that the first one was. The first one was so scary. And there's something about these creatures that are infected with rage Like, out of all the things you could be infected with, rage is probably the scariest.
Sadly, very relevant thing today, isn't it? With sort of social media.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, you're so right. It's like the internet has become those zombies. Cillian Murphy is so brilliant in it as well, and it's just him waking up in that hospital bed, not having a clue what's happened to him, and then going out into the streets of London, and how Danny Boyle got those streets of London empty. Apparently, I heard that they were giving them people 10 and £20 notes and saying, if you walk that way to work today, there's 20 quid. And that's the way they got rid of all the people.
It's bribery.
But then another one that I thought about that I watched during COVID, and I think it was made for COVID, was, I don't know if you've seen Host.
Oh, yeah. That's the Zoom one.
Yes, the Zoom one where they have a seance.
Chilling, that was, yeah.
Really chilling. And just before we did this interview, I went and watched the trailer again just to remind myself of it. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, this truly made me like shit myself. Like, this was scary. I don't know what it was. I think the acting was very good, like very naturalistic with them all on Zoom. So all like the cameras, like, you know, and just talking to the camera. And then there was that Scottish woman who was like the woman who announced the seance and stuff. And then when things start to happen, because it's so gradual at first, and then by the end, it's full out horror. But it's a really scary movie. I really like that one.
Yeah, it uses the technology really cleverly, I think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of the ordinary, mundane sort of nature of the first 10, 20 minutes, and then it gradually sort of gets sinister.
Yeah, gradually gets sinister. Because there's a bit, I was just watching this in the trailer, where the girl pretends she puts like a filter on so that she looks really scary.
Yeah.
And they're all like, ha ha ha, very funny. And then later in the film, there's like an actual scary filter that's like a demon. And they're like, ha, like, take off the filter now. And it's like, no, that's not me. And it's like, oh, that's scary. That is really, really freaky. I love horror, though. I'm a big horror fan.
Yeah, so it was only about 3 weeks ago that I watched 28 Days Later for the first time, because it was on iPlayer. I'd never actually got around to seeing it, but I think it is excellent, definitely. I'll have to watch the second and third now.
Oh, have you not seen the second or third one yet?
Not yet.
I think I'd probably rate them in that order. The first one being the best, and then the second one, and then the third one.
You were also in Sawney Bean longer ago in the early 2010s, I think, that with David Heyman gives a very good over-the-top performance, I think, in that.
Yes, I have a tiny, tiny part in that.
Can you do your Sawney Bean impression? I gather you've included in the stand-up show.
Yes, I can, if you want to. Tom, what's your name? Tommy. Hi. Oh, my voice is cracking today. I think my voice has had enough of Sawney Bean. But yeah, that's my Sawney Bean impression. It's just very silly. When I do it in the stand-up show, I make a joke towards the end that I've basically done Sawney Bean as if Sawney Bean has special needs, which is a bit, you know, but then I make a joke, I kind of counteract that. I kind of get away with that joke because I say that there was girls at the Edinburgh Dungeons when I worked there who would play Sawney Bean as if Sawney Bean was like a porn star or an OnlyFans girl. And then I do an impression of like a sexy Sawney Bean, which is kind of like, hey, I'm a cannibal. Hey. And it's just like silly, like, oh my God, I'm totally going to eat you. And it's just like very silly. But yeah, that's my impression of Sawney Bean. People seem to love it. Like when I do it, it's kind of like, you know how every comedian has like their greatest hits or their favorite set that they like to do. And my favorite set that I do is my set about Sawney Bean, because it's just so silly, it's so interactive, it's so fun, it's so daft. Like 9 times out of 10 it goes well. When it doesn't go well, I blame the audience rather than myself, because it's such a good bit that, like I say, normally people love. So when people don't like it, I'm a bit more like, oh, well, that's your fault then.
So one of the I think the best British actors of anyone out there, Adil Akhtar, was recently, this was in like a newspaper article, he said, I didn't have a good time in the US. British culture is unique. Do you empathise with his view
How would you assess the ups and downs of your time in America?
Well, I lived in America for almost a year, and like I'm writing a new show at the moment about it, and the show's called American Horror Story because I had such a horrendous time in Tennessee. And the tagline for the show is all about that time I moved to Tennessee for love, but instead got diagnosed with bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's kind of like, well, it's really serious and really awful, but it's also quite funny because it's so extreme. It's so, I mean, the illness, bipolar, is extreme in nature anyway. But I mean, just the idea of like meeting a handsome redneck that I met at a comedy gig in Monkey Barrel in Edinburgh and moving all the way to Tennessee to be with him. And then within days of moving over, I was sectioned. Yeah, like within days. And it's so weird because it's like, why had that never happened here? Why had like all the time I've lived in Scotland or in England, has that never happened to me? I've never been sectioned. I've never come close to it. And then suddenly I was over there and I wasn't sleeping at all. And I was also smoking a lot of weed, mixing weed with insomnia. And there's something about mixing insomnia and marijuana that went very, very wrong in my head. And then I was in and out of hospital pretty much the whole time I was in Tennessee. Things just didn't go well for me at all. So it's quite an easy question for me. Like when people say, how was your time in America? I can say, well, unfortunately, my time in America was awful. I can't really blame Tennessee, and I can't really blame myself either because I was ill and I didn't know that I was ill, because I'd never been diagnosed before that. But the guy that I moved over for was a walking red flag, and there's a lot there that I should have thought about more seriously. But I think again that's a kind of symptom of bipolar as well, as making poor choices.
Right.
And I think I made a really poor choice by moving over to be with him. So as much as, because the thing is, I still love America, and I still very much want to live and work in America. But I just think that maybe Tennessee wasn't quite the right state for me because I do feel like there's a lot there where it's like very traditional and it's like let men be men and let women be women kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I do feel like if that had happened to me in Los Angeles or New York City, I think things would have gone very differently. But I think because I was in Tennessee, it was like no one knew what to do with me, as if they'd never seen an ill girl before. And it was sort of like, come on, this is a very common illness.
Yeah, that is odd.
Yeah, it was odd. So I do kind of like, I still want to live and work in America, but Tennessee is not the place for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there a particular type of character you'd like to play more on screen in future?
I was thinking about this as well. It's such a good question, and I couldn't actually think of an answer. I'd love to do more horror because I love horror films. I'd love to do like Marvel or some sort of like superhero franchise just because the money, it would change my life. And it would be amazing, don't get me wrong. But yeah, definitely more horror. And my biggest dream is to be on Saturday Night Live, SNL.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my big goal, is to do that show. And that's why I'm working so hard at the Groundling School, because they have like scholarships and internships and stuff at SNL as well. So if I keep doing well at Groundlings, there's a very good chance I could end up at SNL. So that's kind of where I see myself, because I'm very, very good at characters. I'm very good at accents. I'm not great at impressions, but I am great at getting the energy of people really well. So I think SNL would be the perfect job for me because I'd get to do fast-paced sketches every week where I got to play different roles, and that's like my dream.
Just in terms of films at the moment, what are your feelings about AI and some companies planning to like use it more and more in film production?
Oh, get rid. Get rid. See, I'm getting mouthier again. Remember earlier, I was like, I've calmed down. I'm much more chilled out in my opinions. But no, AI can get to fuck, in my opinion. We don't need it. I mean, look at Jurassic Park from 1993, one of the best and scariest films ever. And that didn't have any AI or anything in it. That was just like computerized dinosaurs, or I don't know how they did it. But that was like a really, really excellent film. And we didn't need AI. So it's like, why do we suddenly need AI now if we've already produced amazing films throughout history without it?
I needed to correct people's accents. It was Adrian Brody, wasn't it, with The Brutalist?
Is that right?
Used to sort of make his Hungarian accent better, apparently.
See, well, then just get an actor who can do a better Hungarian accent, and then that fixes your issue. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I just don't, I don't agree with AI. I think it's getting quite scary. I saw a thing on Instagram the other day, and it was a picture of this woman saying like she has like 3 million followers on social media, and she's like an influencer and stuff. And then it turned out that she's not real. She's AI. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I just,
There's a band as well, the sort of fake band.
but that's it. I read about them as well. And I just thought, this is getting really freaky. It's AI. It's just freaky to me. So I think they need to get rid of it all.
In other words, listeners, sisters, brothers, fuck these fucking motherfuckers right to absolute fuck. They want us to get in line, but we won't. They want us to be afraid of each other, but we're not. We are better than this. The only good system is a sound system, and if I can't dance it, it's not my revolution. This is my revolution, listeners. This one. I really hope you'll make it yours too. Join us. Wendy! Hey!
Testify.
What's next in terms of your project? So American Horror Story, is that your main?
American Horror Story is something that I'm working on at the moment. I'm actually going to a writing retreat in August in Edinburgh, and it's just a day where you sit on your laptop with other people and write things that you've been like meaning to write, but you've been procrastinating or whatever. And because I've been kind of wanting to write American Horror Story for a while, but I have kind of procrastinated. But I did do a show of it in Glasgow last year, and I've got the recording of it. So that day at the writing retreat, I'm just going to put my headphones in and listen to it on my phone and just basically write it out onto my laptop and just like write out all the bullet points of what I spoke about that day. Because right now I can't really remember it all. Because this year, earlier in the year, my bipolar got so bad again that I had to be hospitalized. And I was hospitalized for 3 months. So I was hospitalized from February till April this year. And
Tough.
yeah, it was really tough. And I also had ECT, which is like electric shock therapy.
Right.
So like you see in the movies, like I had that happen to me, and it's really scary. Because you know you're being tied down to a bed and having stuff literally fry your brain. You obviously don't feel it because you're unconscious, but it's still terrifying to wake up to. There was a woman, right, who was like one of the doctors, and she would come out before each electric shock therapy session, and there was these horrible big red chairs that you would see before you went in, and it was very like The Shining. Imagine you're about to go in to get your brain fried, and you think you're in The Shining, and you're quite mentally unwell as well. And so I said to her, "Oh my God, I think I'm in The Shining." And you know what she said? "Daddy's home." And I was like, "Oh my God, you're lucky that I'm more sane now. You're lucky that I've like got my shit together and I know that this is not real." Because otherwise, can you imagine how scary that would have been? But my point is that ECT, electric shock therapy, even though it's brilliant for you, it's brilliant for mental illness, it's really bad for your memory loss. So since I've had that done, there's like a time where I can't remember at all, from like a few weeks in hospital where I can't remember anything. I had different people come to visit me and take me for lunches and stuff, and I don't remember any of it. So,
Oh.
and same with my stand up, like a lot of my stand up that I would do before I went into the hospital, I can't really remember. So that's why I've been doing Sonny Bean a lot recently, because it's like one really good set that I can still remember. So that writing retreat day is going to be a really good use for me to start writing down a lot of the jokes that I'd forgotten about and start getting the show together and ready for
Yeah.
kind of public viewing. So I've got that, but I've also got a short film that I'm working on at the moment that I'm filming at the end of July. And that's called Wings. And it's a two-hander. It's me and this other actress. She's from Edinburgh as well. I actually don't know her name yet. It's about trafficking and rape, and it's really hard-hitting. So it's not really like my other kind of comedy performances. It's a lot more hard-hitting. And I'm playing a character called Robin, who's married to this absolute monster of a man who's been raping me and drugging me and just treating me terribly for years. And he married me when I was 16. So he's obviously like a bit of a creep as well. Well, a major creep because he's a rapist. But it's going to be really good fun because I've not done a short film since The Mad Shagger. That's the last short film I did. So it's going to be really good to film that as well.
What does being Northern mean to you? Does it mean more or less than being Scottish, or are they synonymous?
Yeah, I think they're synonymous. I think being Scottish, being Northern, I don't know. It's just this is another one that I struggled with, this question, because I was just like, what does it mean to me? I don't know. I'm not really sure, but I just know that I like being Scottish, and I don't really know why. But I am proud to be Scottish. I am proud to be Northern, proud to live here as well, because you get a lot of people from the north who run down to London and stuff, which is what I did in my earlier years. I did run off and lived in London for 7 years, but I don't miss living in London at all. And I'm really glad to be living in Edinburgh again. I missed it. It's a great city. But I think when I was younger, I was desperate to kind of run off and live in London. And I think a lot of people when they're young do that.
And what do you see as the main attributes of Northern people and places?
Probably honesty. I just think you don't really encounter someone from the north who bullshits. Just an honesty and maybe even a brutalness that comes from being Northern. And a Northerner's not going to lie to you in the way that I feel like maybe you think that maybe a Southerner could more. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why I feel like that or what in media has done that to me.
What's the number one myth about the North or Northern people you think needs consigning to history?
I think that we're stupid. I know that might sound like an obvious answer or whatever, because you've probably heard that before, but I just think, like, why is that even still a conversation? Is it something about our accents? Because we're not poshos that people think we're like dumb? And I just think it's so beyond ignorant. It's so beyond hateful that it's not even funny remotely. It's just like, ugh, get in the bin or get in the sea, get in the Northern Sea.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally.
Does the North-South divide in Britain exist?
I think it does to an extent. I think, like the Edinburgh-Glasgow divide, it's very similar to the Northern-Southern divide. Just like arguing about what's better and why. I don't really see it. Like, I'm just like, oh, get over it. Like, we're all just people at the end of the day. And I don't mean to sound like John Lennon or something, but it's true. Like, we are all just humans, and I don't really get the divide at all.
I mean, there's sometimes just massive divides within cities, aren't there? Like in Glasgow with the Protestant Catholic divide.
Well, that's it, exactly.
Isn't it? And ridiculous, really.
It is ridiculous. Like an ex-boyfriend of mine was a big Celtic supporter, and so he was like really vicious against Rangers supporters and Protestants. And I had never encountered that before because obviously I'm from Edinburgh. I didn't really get the Protestant Catholic divide and debate, and I was quite horrified by it. And then like the orange walks and then the green marches and all this. And I was just like, what the hell? Like, aren't you just going to watch people kick a ball about? Isn't that really what you're doing? And now it's turned to religion, and oh yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, the sequel to Trainspotting has a very good scene in a pub where they
It does.
tap into that, don't they, and satirise it.
They literally tap into that with their, the bank card, because they all guess the they guess the bank card thing of being like a famous Protestant year in history.
Yeah.
It's funny.
And what's your favourite place in the north and why?
Okay, I've got a couple. Got Whitley Bay, which is beautiful. I'm sure you've been.
Yeah, been quite a few times.
Yeah, I went there a couple of times when I was living in Hartlepool, and I was gigging all over the northeast, and I gigged in Whitley Bay a few times, and I just fell in love with it. It's got the most beautiful pier, and like it's just a beautiful like sea line. It's absolutely stunning. I'll have to send you a picture I took in Whitley Bay once, and it actually did quite well on Twitter because I put it up as like beautiful like thing as I saw in Whitley Bay. And Whitley Bay Council were all like, they're like, thank you. And they like loved the picture because it was a picture of like the moon and the sky and the sea, and it was just a stunning, stunning picture. So I've got good memories of Whitley Bay, but I also lived in Berwick-upon-Tweed for about a year, and I think Berwick-upon-Tweed, and that's such a perfect little spot because you're right on the border between Scotland and England.
Yeah.
I mean, you are technically in England, but you're right on the border, and it's beautiful there.
Yeah, we stayed a few times there. It's a nice place.
Yeah, I love it. I love it there.
What's your least favourite place in the north and why?
I'm gonna say Ayrshire, just because I lived there, but not the whole of Ayrshire. There is some beautiful beaches and stuff, so I'm not here to just shit on Ayrshire, but I just don't have very good memories of living there. I was with not a very nice guy, and I had no money, and I was just skint, and it's just not a very nice place to be if you're skint. But then saying that, like I do feel bad saying that, but it is, anyone will tell you it can be quite a grim place. Well, maybe not anyone. I've probably offended no one from Ayrshire. Listen to this podcast, please.
What was it like to live in Hartlepool? Not with any presumptions.
No, I know. That's what I mean. I can't sit here and slag off Ayrshire and then not slag off Hartlepool. Hartlepool, I'll tell you what's funny about me living in Hartlepool. The street that I lived on was the street that, remember there was riots in Hartlepool a while back?
Last summer?
Yeah, there was riots.
Quite a few different places.
Yeah. And one of them was on my street, the street that I lived on. So when I saw that, my dad sent me a video, and it was on my literal street, like you could film it from my window. And I was just like, that sums up Hartlepool for me, you know? So I didn't have a particularly good time living in Hartlepool either, quite honestly. I've lived in some rough places just because that's all I can afford.
Mhm.
So you have to take what you can get, right?
And what's your favourite northern institution or organisation or public space?
I was thinking about this, and I think it's the lighthouse at Berwick-upon-Tweed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful lighthouse, and I used to run there. So during COVID, I was in the best shape of my life. I was like Forrest Gump during COVID because there was nothing else to do. So I would just run and run and run, and I would always run down to that lighthouse, and I would go and sit on like the wall and just look out to all you can see is sea and the seagulls, because I'm quite unusual in the fact that I actually like seagulls. I like the sound of seagulls because they always remind me of being at the seaside, and I just love that part of the world. It's just such a peaceful, beautiful part of the north. It's great.
It is very quiet, isn't it, Berwick? Yeah.
Oh, it's stunning.
Lots of interesting sort of buildings.
It's stunning.
What's your favourite film or TV programme of any kind, set or shot in Northern England?
Probably Happy Valley. Did you watch Happy Valley?
I've seen the first episode, and I want to watch the rest. It was gripping.
Yes. Oh, it was excellent. Excellent TV show. It's like a Hollywood show, but set in the north. And that's what I like about it. Like, it's very gritty, but very high production value. It doesn't look like they've skimped on any money, which sometimes you can of feel from British stuff that they've maybe. Do you know what I mean? Also, the acting is brilliant. The storylines are brilliant.
And could you please nominate one unfairly overlooked Northern person to be on this podcast Northerner roster?
Yes, I will. I'll name my friend Ross Mann, who was in Beats.
Oh, right, yeah.
and he played the DJ. You know, is it D-Man?
Derek. Yeah, Derek.
Yeah, Derek. Derek's his actual name.
To live down.
My good friend, Ross Mann. And he is such a talented actor. Like, he beat some really big actors for that role.
Yeah,
And
isn't he?
he's great in it. Really good actor. Like, I've got more of a profile or whatever. Like, he deserves to have more of a profile, and I'll give him a shout out. Although he's a very chilled out guy. He's not like trying to be a big superstar or whatever. Like, he's very, very chilled. I still just feel he deserves more of an audience, and I feel like he'd be brilliant on this podcast.
He's intense, isn't he, in that role?
Oh, he's brilliant. He's intense in real life as well. I mean that in a nice way.
Yeah,
He's
in a good
guy.
way. Yeah,
In a good
he's
way.
earnest, in a really good way. Like,
Yeah.
how much he's into the music and how much he loves it. And there's links with Detroit and Lanarkshire, is it, that he he makes the link. It's really good.
Yeah, he's a great guy and a great actor. I'm hoping that he's still to have his like day in the sun. Do you know what I mean? Like how actors can like blossom later in their careers and stuff. And I hope that that's what happens with him because he's so talented and he's such a good person and he just deserves it.
That's an excellent choice,
Mhm.
I think. And could you please tell me your selections of 3 songs or pieces of music which deeply express the North to you?
Okay, so Caledonia by Frankie Miller. Because that's just, come on, you know, enough said. Brilliant song and even better advert. I don't know if you ever saw the Tenants advert that it was from.
I didn't. I'll check it out.
Oh, it's absolutely fantastic. It leaves a lump in your throat if you're Scottish or Northerner. The feeling of coming back to Edinburgh after being down in London. Look, I'm actually getting emotional even thinking about it. It's this beautiful advert where he's like in the rat race in London, just having a horrible time. Like it's all grey and he's just, you know, getting shoved about. And it's like, and then he just decides to put his like briefcase in the bin. Like there's a lorry bin going past London and he just puts it in the bin and you see him on the train. And then the next thing you know, he's in Edinburgh. And it's like honestly, I'm not even joking when I say that I cry every time I even tell people about this advert because it's just, and then it kicks in. The Caledonia music kicks in. Like, I don't know, you know, and it's just like that feeling of getting back to Edinburgh is the best feeling. And I think like being from Edinburgh, like I don't know how Glaswegians feel when they watch that advert or whatever, because it's like it is set in Edinburgh, but it's meant to be about coming home. And I suppose I don't know how other people would feel, like if you would feel watching it from someone from Northumberland or whatever, if it means so much to me because I am from Edinburgh. But I don't know. I can't work that one out. But it's just such a brilliant advert. So that song really kind of affects me.
Let me tell you that I love you, that I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you calling me, and now I'm going home. And if I should become a stranger, you know that it would make me more than sad. Caledonia's been everything I've ever had.
And then in terms of other ones about the North, I don't know if it's so much about the North, but just from Northern bands. I really love Supersonic by Oasis.
Yeah, that's the first album, isn't it? That?
Yeah, definitely, maybe. I love that song. And I just think that's like, when you think of Oasis, for me, that's just their sound. It's like Supersonic. I think it was their first single as well. I think so. It's like a really like edgy, hard hitting, very, very good introduction to the band. And I love that song.
I need to be myself. I can't be no one else. I'm feeling supersonic. Give me gin and tonic. You can have it all, but how much do you want it?
And then thirdly is I Bet You Look Good on the Dance Floor by the Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah.
Because again, I think that was either their first single or very much up there in terms of like one of their first songs. And it's just so gritty. And I love that bit where it's talking about like Montagues and Capulets and stuff. It's like talking about like, you know, it goes Romeo and Juliet on you. And you're just like, whoa, what the hell? I love that song as well.
Oh, but you're an explosion. Your name isn't real, but I don't care for sand. The lights in the fuse might result in a bang, 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 go. I bet that you look good on the dance floor. I don't know if you're looking for romance, or I don't know what you're looking for. I said I bet that you look good on the dance floor. Dancing to electro pop like a robot from 1984. Well, from 1984. Montagues or Capulets.
So I think those three songs, definitely.
Great choices.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for talking, Rachel. That's been a
Yeah,
pleasure.
thank you. No, it's been a pleasure talking to you as well. I didn't expect to get emotional there when I talked about Caledonia.
I don't know the song really, but I've seen him act, Frankie Miller.
Right.
It's in a really gritty Scottish play for the day that Peter McDougall wrote.
Right.
Greenock set one called Just
Okay.
a Boys Game. Thank you again.
All right, Tom. Thank you so much.
That's it for this week on Hit the North. Conversations, editing, idents and stings by Tom May. Thanks to my guest Rachel Jackson for talking on the 17th of July 2025. Music came from Paolo Nutini, Carl Craig 69, Frankie Miller, the Arctic Monkeys and Oasis. Hang on! Want to be on the podcast or suggest a guest? Email hitthenorthne41@proton.me. Send us your favourite northern songs, places or stories there, or in the Hit the North Facebook group, and you'll get a shout out. If you've enjoyed this, spread the word on social media or in person, and follow at Hit the North UK at bsky.social. Don't miss the Hit the North playlist on Spotify. Hit the North matters.